Great. All right. Let's get everything working here. Good morning. Welcome to another fucking live. I'm late because I had a lot of technical difficulties this morning, but I think we're up and running everywhere. The best experience, if you're not watching on YouTube, is youtube.com/@Kellerman Comedy. Comedy with a K. But we're gonna watch President Trump's speech. Some of you are already watching it. Now you're gonna watch it with me instead. So you may hear some of the same things.
Wow. I've been up here a lot. I've never seen a crowd like this. I think we need a ballroom, and that's happening. It's going to be a beautiful ballroom. This is
A
really
ballroom for press
a
conferences?
lot of people, most I've ever seen in this room.
What?
And we're here for a very serious purpose. Very serious purpose. Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly, like we did on the southern border.
Out of
I'm
control
announcing a historic action to
for Washington, D.C.?
rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor.
Bedlam
And worse.
and squalor.
This is Liberation Day in D.C.
Wow.
And we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States. I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control. And you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something.
I mean, yeah.
And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. Just like we did on our southern border. Nobody comes to our southern border anymore. 3 months in a row we had zero. I don't know if that's right, but the people that do the work, it's a very liberal group of people, actually, and they actually said zero for the last 3 months. Nobody thought
D.C. has the highest murder rate, apparently, in the entire United States, which I did not know.
When you say, take a look at
Tell me in the
numbers, I
chat
just
if you
saw
knew
some-
that.
Some charts. These are different cities throughout the world. Red is, okay, the red is a place called Washington, D.C. Look at these. Baghdad we doubled up on Baghdad. Panama City, Brasilia, San Jose, Costa Rica, Bogota, Colombia, heavy drugs.
Brasilia?
Mexico City, I mentioned. Lima, Peru.
Is that a real place and I'm
Double
stupid?
and triple what they are. So do you want to live in places like that? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I think the people in this room, if you wrote correctly, you'd see, look at the kind of numbers we have. DC,
Brasilia. It's a real place.
41 per
He did not
100,000,
mispronounce
number
Brazil,
one
if you were wondering.
that we can find anywhere in the world. Other cities are pretty bad, but they're not as bad as that. That where you want to live? The reporters of the world?
Is that where you want to live?
Juvenile offenders and crimes against persons, as they say. It's getting worse. Not getting better, it's getting worse. And we had a recent indication. There was a story about a man who was just left. He quit because he was asked to do phony numbers on crime. And we're going to look into that. I think Pam is going to be looking into that. But he was asked by the city, I guess, that we don't want to show the real numbers. Let me do numbers so it looks like it's going down. Not going down. And under Biden, it was a disaster. And nobody did anything about it. We're going to do things about it like you wouldn't believe. Every American has a constitutional right to be able to access and petition their government in safety, and countless federal officials and employees likewise have the right to carry out their jobs in peace without being shot. As you know, I lost a very good person a while ago, was shot waiting for his wife. He was in the car. They robbed his car. They shot him. They killed him like it was nothing to it. She was walking to the car. It's a horror show. This issue directly impacts the functioning of the federal government and is a threat to America. Really, it's a threat to our country. We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at Los Angeles, how bad it is. We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this. And this will go further. We're starting very strongly with DC, and we're going to clean it up real quick, very quickly, as they say. Days ago, a former member of the DOJ staff was savagely beaten by a band of roving thugs after defending a young woman from an attempted carjacking. He was left dripping in blood. He thought he was dead, with a broken nose and concussion. Can't believe that he's alive. He can't believe it. In June, a 21-year-old congressional intern was tragically killed after being hit by a stray bullet in a drive-by shooting. A former Trump administration official named Mike Gill, fantastic person, was murdered last year in cold blood in a carjacking blocks away from the White House. We all knew him. Great person.
AI can't help sometimes. It needs too much.
As she was
Too
walking
much extra information.
to the car.
I can't give it all.
A Democrat congressman was also
Someone's
carjacked
sending
at gunpoint not far
all
from
kinds
the
of
Capitol.
crazy
And in
things in the chat on
2023, an
Instagram.
aide
Or is this
to
TikTok?
Senator Rand Paul was stabbed in the chest and head by a demented lunatic as he walked down the street, just absolutely for no reason. Horrifically, last July 4th weekend, a 3-year-old girl was shot in the head and killed while sitting in a car near the Capitol. It's becoming a situation of complete and total lawlessness. And we're getting rid of the slums too. We have slums here. We're getting rid of them. I know
Someone
it's not
watching from
politically
South
correct.
Africa.
You'll say, oh, so terrible. No, we're getting rid of the slums.
I
where they
saw
live.
somebody on Facebook watching from Scotland.
Caravans of
Good
mass
afternoon,
youth
Scotland.
rampage through city streets at all times of the day. There are ATVs, motorbikes. They travel pretty well. Entire neighborhoods are now under emergency curfews.
Yes.
Just this past weekend, gunfire went through, and you saw that, the Navy Yard. I saw it this morning. They saw that they fought back against, they fight back until you knock the hell out of them, because it's the only language they understand. But they fought back against law enforcement last night. And they're not going to be fighting back long, because I've instructed them and told them whatever happens, they love to spit in the face of the police. As the police are standing up there in uniform, they're standing and they're screaming at them an inch away from their
It's an
face.
impression of a police
And
officer.
then they start spitting in their face. And I said, you tell them, you spit and we hit. And they can hit real hard. It's a disgusting thing. I've watched that for years.
Deja vu.
3-4 years I've watched that.
Deja vu. When did he say that before?
And they're told, don't do anything under any search. So and you can see they want to get at it. And they're standing there and people are spitting in their face and they're not allowed to do anything. But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want. This dire public safety crisis stems directly from the abject failures of the city's local leadership, the radical left city council adopted no cash bail. By the way, every place in the country where you have no cash bail is a disaster. That's what started the problem in New York, and they don't change it. They don't want to change it. That's what started it in Chicago. I mean, bad politicians started it, bad leadership started it, but that was the one thing that's central: no cash bail. Somebody murders somebody and they're out on no cash bail before the day is out. We're going to end that in Chicago. We're going to change the statute. I spoke with Pam and Todd and everybody. We're going to change the statute, and I'm going to have to get the Republicans to vote because the Democrats are weak on crime. Totally weak on crime. They don't know why. They want to stop because they get mugged too. But we're going to change no cash bail. We're going to change the statute and get rid of some of the other things. And we'll count on the Republicans in Congress and Senate to vote. We have the majority, so we'll vote. We don't have a big majority, but we've gotten everything, including the great, big, beautiful bill. Got that done, and that's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to people in this country. They're starting to figure it out, how good it is. Biggest tax cut in history. So many things. But we'll be able to get that done. So Todd, if you and Pam can draw up things working with the people, I'll get it passed. We'll get it passed with the Republicans. Probably won't get, think of this, probably won't get one Democrat vote because they have no idea what they're doing. That's why they want men playing in women's sports. That's why they want transgender for everybody transgender. And they've just got walloped in an election, in a landslide, and they haven't changed one thing. I saw the other day the certain gentleman who was a very well-known politician, Democrat, was fighting like hell that men should be allowed to play in women's sport. They just don't get it. They said it's an 80-20 issue, and I think it's a 97-3 issue. And I don't know who the three are. I've never heard anybody come. Nobody's ever come up to me, sir, you have to let men play in women's sports. You have to do it, sir. Nobody's ever approached me. I don't know where this issue even comes from. Never seen anything like it.
To be clear, they're talking about trans women.
But they turned our nation's capital into a sanctuary jurisdiction.
No one
That's
is just asking for plain old men to be in women's sports. I think that's a bit of a disingenuous way to put it. Also, the 97-3 thing is just totally made up.
Onto the streets in 2022, nearly 70% of criminals arrested in Washington went unprosecuted. That's not going to happen with the group we have standing aside and standing behind me. And at the Metropolitan Police Department, it's now reached a small number relatively compared to what it was, but it's thousands of people. You know, we have thousands of police. I was told today, sir, they want more police. I heard a number 3,000.
Someone said DC isn't even a state.
That's a lot of police. 3,500. I thought they were going to say we only have 30 policemen or women. They said we have 3,500. We need more. You don't need more. That's so many. I never heard. That's like an army. How could you need more than 3,000? It just happened 2 minutes ago. Sir, they've requested more police. Oh, what do they have? About 3,500. I said, 3,500?
You just told this story.
This is not a big area. It's ridiculous. What you need is
literally
rules
told the
and
same story
regulations,
back to back.
and you need the right people
Twice
to
in a row.
implement them. And we have the right people here, that I can tell you. Look at the border. Biden said there's nothing you can do. Kamala was the border czar. She never called one of the Border Patrol agents who are great. ICE is great. Never spoke to anybody. Never went there. But she was the border
Neither
czar.
of those things are true.
And everybody said it was impossible to fix. I fixed it in 3 months.
The last administration did
No,
not have a good border
really.
policy, but it's
I
not
fixed
true
it
that
the first
she
week.
never went down to
But
the
really
border
fixed
and
it
never
over
spoke
the
to any of
couple of
those
months.
people. That's
And,
just
I
not
mean,
true.
literally to a point where, as I said,
Plenty of documentation.
zero
of Kamala
illegals
going down
entering our
there.
country in the last 90 days. Pretty amazing. It's time for dramatic action. We're going to do the same thing over here. It's going to be a very safe city very soon. We're not looking to just take years, because a lot of people die in years. And we've got
Someone says
incredible
good morning
people
from
in this
Commie
country.
Canada.
Except we have to allow them to do their job.
Rude
And
to
that,
themselves.
we will deliver like nobody's ever delivered before. I actually think it's easy. You know, if you're competent, it's easy. If you're incompetent, it's impossible. But I'm very competent. Last
Words
week,
to
my
live by.
administration surged 500 federal agents into the district, including from the FBI, ATF, DEA, Park Police, the U.S. Marshal Service, the Secret Service, and the Department of Homeland Security. You know, a lot of nations, they don't have anything like that. They got some police, and they're rough police. They don't have DEA, ATF, FBI, Park Police, the U.S. Marshal Service, Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security. They got some police, but they're rough police, and they do their job. They don't have crime. We're not gonna have crime either. They made dozens of arrests, and that's what starts to happen. Again, cashless bail. Watch what we do with that. Today, we're formally declaring a public
Kind of all over the
safety
place
emergency. This is an emergency. This is a tragic emergency.
here. No cash bail is a public
And it's
emergency?
embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was, with graffiti all over the walls. It's another part of it, by the way, because we're talking about safety, but we're also talking about beautification.
Is
We're the
anybody
most beautiful,
watching
potentially
from
capital in
Washington,
the world.
D.C.?
We always
Anybody
have.
here from Washington, D.C. on
But
any of the
people come from
platforms?
Iowa, they come from Indiana, they come and then they get
I'm
mugged.
curious what people
Not
in
gonna happen.
Washington,
Keep
D.C.
coming,
think.
because by the time you get your trip set, it's going to be safe again, and it's going to be clean very quickly. We're going to replace the medians that are falling down all over the roads. We're going to replace the potholes. We're going to put a nice new coat of asphalt over the top. No, we don't have to rip the road out and spend 7 years building a new road because they cut everything. Because some designer said, well, we need a 1/4 inch more turn for safety reasons. No, we're going to.
I've got some Instagram peeps saying that they're in D.C. Tell me, tell the
today
chat
we're
what things are like.
declaring public safety emergency in the District of Columbia, and Attorney General
We looked up
Pam
earlier. It
Bogdan's
does have the worst
fantastic,
crime
is
rate
taking
in the
command
U.S.
of the Metropolitan
But how does it feel?
Police Department as of this moment. And I'll be making the appropriate notifications to Congress and to the mayor, our new DEA administrator, who's one of the top in the country. He better be Terry. If you're not, I'm going to get rid of you so fast. Terry Cole. Terry, thanks. Very good. We just got him. Most highly recommended person. And you'll be designated as the interim federal commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Department. Okay? And you run them tough. They're good. You have a lot of good people. You have people that shouldn't be there. You also have people that shouldn't be there. They got in there because of woke. But you have a lot of great
Because of
police,
woke.
and those people are the ones that want to help you. This city will no longer be a
They're there 'cause of
sanctuary
woke,
for
guys.
illegal
That's a
alien criminals.
perfectly.
We will
that
have
sentence
full,
makes sense.
seamless, integrated cooperation at all levels of law enforcement, and we'll deploy officers across the district with an overwhelming presence. You'll have more police, and you'll be so happy because you'll be safe. When you walk down the street, you're going to see police, or you're going to see FBI agents. We're going to have a lot of agents on the street.
Let me
You're gonna
just
have
ask the audience
a lot
here.
of,
Tell me in the chat,
essentially
if
military,
you
and
walk
we will
around
bring
your
in the
streets
military if it's
and you just
needed,
see police
by the way.
everywhere,
We're
does
gonna have
that make
National
you
Guard.
feel more
But
or less safe?
Pete Hegseth will tell you about it. We will bring in the military if needed. People say, "Oh, that's so terrible." He's going to bring in. It's been used many times over the years. I don't think we'll need it. I think we've got so many great people, including the people
lots
that
of
are
people
in the
saying less.
police department.
Lots
with
of people
proper
saying
leadership.
less safe with a bunch of cops
They'll
around.
immediately begin massive enforcement operations targeting known gangs, drug dealers, and criminal networks to get them the hell off the street.
See,
maybe
that's
get
good.
them out of the country. 'Cause
That
a lot
is
of them
objectively good, right?
came into
Well,
our
get them out of the
illegally.
country.
They
I'm
shouldn't
not
have
sure
been
that they're
allowed
all
in.
immigrants.
They come from Venezuela. They come from all over the world. We're going to get them the hell out.
Plenty of American
here long.
criminals.
But some of these people, a lot of them, are homegrown criminals.
Homegrown.
And
Here we go.
These are bad people.
We're gonna deport
These
them?
are rough people. And this is just a list of some of the people that were given to me today that were criminals removed from the D.C. streets this weekend. They were rough. Rough and tough. But we're rougher and tougher. Look at these people here. Nothing, you know. They're not going to be your local school teacher. Look at this guy. He has killed people numerous times. They're not going to be an asset. They will never be an asset to society. I don't care. I know we all want to say, oh, they're going to be rehabbed. It's not going to be rehabbed. I'm going to ask Doug Burgum to come up and say a couple of words because he's in charge, as you know. He's Interior, but he's in charge of the U.S. Park Police. And I've heard so many great things about the Park Police. They're proud of it. They've been there for a long time. Their families oftentimes grow into the roles. They love the country. They love this area. So, Doug, could you say a few words, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the U.S. Park Police, this is the oldest federal police force in the nation. They were formed in 1791 by none other than President George Washington. They've got the awesome responsibility of protecting our nation's most sacred monuments. The National Mall, Washington Monument, Jefferson Memorial, Lincoln Memorial, Statue of Liberty, and out west, the Presidio and the Golden Gate area. These folks have tens of millions of visitors a year, the kind of people that President Trump's talking about that come from around the country and around the world to see our sacred and learn about our history and our sacred monuments. They've been doing a fantastic job, but they are so pleased, the rank and file, that President Trump is now allowing them to enforce the law. As those of you that live in the city may know, that the circles and the triangle parks that are spread throughout DC are actually federal park property. So the U.S. Park Police also have responsibility for that. These became littered with homeless camps under the Biden administration. All of you saw that. Since President Trump's executive order on March 27th, making DC safe and beautiful again, the U.S. Park Police have removed over 70 homeless camps.
On Facebook.
And President Trump also talks about beautification. They're stopping and enforcing the laws against graffiti on our monuments. They've removed over 80 specific attacks against our history with graffiti on our monuments. So they continue to do a great job, whether it's in their vehicles, on foot, or on the mounted police that you see around the National Mall. And President Trump, they thank you. The rank and file is so happy to be enforcing the law again. Thank you for your leadership, and they're excited about the announcement you're making today.
Thank you, very good. Great job you're doing. Thank you very much. Pete, could you say something about the military, if you would?
Well, Mr. President, it's an honor to be here. And at your direction this morning, we've mobilized the DC National Guard. It'll be operationalized by the Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, through the DC Guard. You will see them flowing into the streets of Washington in the coming week.
National Guard has been
deployed. At your direction
deployed
as well, sir. There are other
DC.
units we are prepared to bring in. Other National Guard units, other specialized units. They will be strong, they will be tough, and they will stand with their law enforcement partners. This is nothing new for DOD. As the President noted, at the border, we've got 10,000 troops down there who've been operating in defense cooperation areas, defense zones, where there's zero illegal crossings because of troops on strikers scanning the border.
I
We've
must
been protecting
say,
other people's borders for 20 years.
It is sad that DC is
CBP. In Los Angeles
has the worst crime rate.
Working with the California National Guard, working with ICE officers. ICE officers deserve to do their job.
Look, I don't know if calling in the National Guard is the answer, but
all DC police and federal law enforcement to ensure
we
city
don't want
is
that.
safe. This
I don't
city
think
is beautiful.
I don't think anybody wants that.
As I always say about President Trump to the troops, he has their back. And my message to the National Guard and federal law enforcement in Washington is, we have your back as well. Be tough, be strong. We're right behind you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, people are talking about 1930s Germany in one of the chats, and it's just like,
you heard me say, she's really in charge of a lot of what we're talking about.
I mean, you can't just let crime happen
People
either.
are gonna start to see
It's
the
not
fruits
like
of her labor, and
it's not
maybe
like
to
they're
say a
sending
few
in the
words
National
about
Guard to
what we're
just
talking about.
arrest people who look a certain way or something like that. Like it is to control some serious crime issues
Crime in
that they're
DC is
having.
ending and ending today. We are going to use every power we have to fight criminals here. President, thank you for caring about our capital. Families come here every summer. Our museums are free. We have the National Zoo. We have the National Gallery. DC should be a place where everyone can come and feel safe. Behind me and to my side, we have some of the best career law enforcement and prosecutors in the country who are ready to take this on. As the President said, Terry Cole is going to be supervising the Metro Police Department. Gaddy Serralta, our U.S. Marshal, is going to be supervising command and control, the entire operation. Our Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and I will be working with them closely, along with our great FBI Director, Kash Patel. Kash is going to talk to you in a minute about what we did in Virginia recently with Governor Youngkin. Many of you covered that, and it was tremendously successful. Not only that, our secret weapon here in DC is U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, one of the toughest prosecutors and a former judge, and she is going to be talking about juvenile crime, how it's out of control here, and what she's going to do to fight back. No more crime rampant in our beautiful capital. No more teenage girls beating a disabled man to death. No more of that. No more drive-bys. We're going to do everything we can, and working with the ATF Director Driscoll and Commander of the Army, we're going to all work together. That's what we all do in this room. We work together, we fight. Do not underestimate one person in this room. We're going to make DC beautiful. We're going to make DC safe again. One other thing, just at the wharf a few days ago, the area of the wharf.
Thank you,
Terry
Supernova.
Cole reached out to me, not even nightfall, on the weekend, where so many families and tourists go. A guy's overdosing from fentanyl on a park bench. In the middle of families around, they administer Narcan and saved his life. No more of that. The President of the United States is going to clean up DC, and we're going to be
Sherry.
there to help him, and we're going to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Cash, talk about Northern Virginia, if you would. Northern Virginia, we had
Wow.
a big success.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for your leadership, Deputy Attorney General, and the rest of our interagency partners.
Wow.
Mr. President, the following is what happens when you let good cops be cops. And I just want to highlight that before I get into Northern Virginia. This year alone, under President Trump's administration, we've had over 4,000 child victims identified and found. That's a 33% increase from the same time period last year. 33% increase. We've had a seizure of 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl up to this date. That is a 25% increase since the same time period last year. And just to put it in perspective, 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl is enough to kill 115 million Americans. 115 million Americans. Cops are getting after it. The FBI has arrested 19,000 people this year alone. Thanks to President Trump's administrations, that's double than where we were this time last year. And we have also arrested 1,600 people who have committed violent acts against children.
Thank you, Sherry.
Children. 270
Thank you
of
so
them
much.
are human traffickers of children. Mr. President, this is what happens when you have great leadership at the Attorney General with Pam Bondi, your administration's priority of protecting the homeland and protecting American citizens and protecting our children, and the murder rates are plummeting. We are now able to report that the murder rate is on track to be the lowest in U.S. history, in modern recorded U.S. history, thanks to this team behind me and President Trump's priorities. And how do we do
that's
it?
a good
What are we
thing,
gonna bring
right?
to D.C.? What
That's
we
a
did
good
in Northern
thing, right?
Virginia, thanks to Terry Cole and Governor Youngkin and the team,
Right?
we stood up a task
Tell me
force
in the
out in
chat
the Northern
if
Virginia
that-
field office,
if,
and we said, let's let
murder
good cops be
rates
cops,
across
let's get
the
them the
US
intelligence
going
and what
down
they
is a
need,
good
and
thing.
let's get the red tape out of their way, and let's get DOJ partnered up with
Crime
us
rate,
to bring
I should
great
say, not
prosecution,
just murder
and that's
rate.
exactly what we did. In 1 month, we arrested 545 violent felons. 545 in the state of Virginia, thanks to Governor Youngkin's partnership. And that simplicity in law enforcement is what's coming to Washington, D.C. When you let good cops be cops, when you give them the intel they need, when you work with our Homeland Security Task Force, when you work with Terry and Gaddy and I go way back to Miami. These guys are great leaders of the respective departments and law enforcement capacities. And when you have the DOJ and President Trump driving behind this mission, we are going to clean up Washington, D.C., and we're going to do it the right way, the lawful way, and we're going to make sure Washington, D.C. is safe again. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General.
I don't know how much is left of this, but if you want to see what I'm seeing, YouTube.com/Kellerman
process
comedy,
begins right
comedy
now.
with a
It
K.
actually started over the weekend.
Do it.
We confronted a lot of very bad people, but it's going to be something that will be pretty amazing to you as you watch it. And I think most of you say it's a beautiful thing to do it right. We're going to be removing homeless encampments from all over our parks, our beautiful, beautiful parks, which now a lot of people can't walk on. They're very dirty, got a lot of problems. But we've already started that. We're moving the encampments away, trying to take care of people. Some of those people, we don't know how they even got there. Some of those people are from different countries, different parts of the world. Nobody knows who they are. They have no idea, but they're there. Getting rid of the people from underpasses and public spaces from all over the city.
Somebody
There
asked,
are
how do we
many
fact check these
places that they
statistics?
can
Unfortunately,
go.
the data
We're
that
gonna
they
help them
have
as much
is
as
a
you
little
can
bit
help.
ahead of ours, so we have to wait.
But they'll not be allowed to turn our capital into a wasteland for the world to see. The Metropolitan Police Department and the federal authorities will be supported in the effort, a really big effort, the 800 DC National Guardsmen that we'll put on, and much more if necessary, much more. You remember I said, I offered 10,000 once. Remember I said to a certain person who I thought always was highly overrated, not very competent. But I said, if you need them, we'll give you 10,000 of the military or the National Guard. They turned me down. But if necessary, we're going to move service members directly to joining the Guardsmen. And that'll take place very rapidly, and that'll be done in conjunction with Pam.
Someone in
and
the
with
chat
Pete
just
and
said,
everybody
does
else.
anyone notice Trump
Washington,
looks bad all of a
D.C.
sudden?
should be one of the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful cities
He looks the
anywhere in
same
the
to me.
world.
Does
And,
anybody else think he
we're
looks
gonna make it that. We're gonna
particularly
make it
bad
safe.
recently?
We're going to make it smart. We're going to make it beautiful. So beautiful. Some of the buildings, we're going to add to it. You see what we've done at the White House. White House is a whole different building. I do that in my part-time because it's a natural instinct as a real estate person. I was very good at that, and I was very good at fixing things up. I like fixing things up. You see what's happening.
Yes,
the marble
yeah,
floors
people are
are
saying
being
he's just older.
reinstalled, renovated, fixed. The whole place is becoming very beautiful. We're going to be adding a magnificent ballroom, most beautiful ballroom I think anywhere. We need it. I would have certainly loved to have had it today. I think we would have filled it up. A lot of you are
someone
standing
agrees.
outside.
Paul says
can't
he
get in this room.
looks
I have
sick.
never seen the room like this, which tells me that you want to talk about. I mean, this was a DC news conference. It tells me that you want to talk about crime in DC and beautification of DC. But I'm going to put that's easy. And I think, frankly, fixing the crime with the pros, fixing the crime is easy too. A person.
Yeah,
who I've
people
known
are
for a
asking,
long
what are they
time,
going to do with all the homeless
and,
people?
she's been incredible. She was a fantastic.
Put
one
them
of the best
somewhere
ever
not in D.C.
district attorneys. in
Escort
New York.
them
She was
to
in
the
Westchester and
city
became a judge,
limits.
very successful judge. And then she went into showbiz because she was such a good DA and such a
good
good
question.
judge. Tough
What do you
judge,
think?
but fair.
They're gonna
Always
put him in
fair.
jail?
Nobody ever complained about that,
Well,
but she was
just
tough.
Bus him
And,
to Colorado
because of
or
that
something,
and her
right?
reputation, she went into showbiz. So a lot of people don't, they think of Janine as showbiz. Actually, showbiz was not her thing. It was, and she did great. She was on along with a couple of other of my friends on the #1 show, and she did great. But this is what she loves doing. This is really her baby. What she's going to do is going to be incredible. And I'd like to speak for just a few seconds on what she has in mind, what she wants to do. We're going to be appointing some judges. We have some open spots, and we're going to take people because the judges are letting killers out. They just say, go, it's okay, don't worry about it.
Are they?
So we're putting some, Pam recommended, Todd recommended.
There are a lot of judges just letting criminals
judges that are
go?
great. Janine recommended. Janine's given me 3 great candidates already. We have about 10 open spots, and we could probably create some more. We need
I'm
them.
actually asking. I
Janine,
don't
would
know.
you say a few words,
I
please?
don't know if that's true. It seems preposterous, but
Thank you very much, Mr.
Not
President.
totally
and
impossible.
Thank you, Madam Attorney General, and to all my partners here. We all want the same thing. We all want a safe city. We want a safe capital. We want to be able to bring our families here. We want to be able to come and enjoy the history that makes this place great. And unfortunately, we are not in that position right now. And Mr. President, I want to thank you for taking the step that we need right now to make criminals understand that they are not going to get away with it anymore. And I'm not going to stand here and go over and over the cases. But what I can tell you is this. I see too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think that they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. They don't care where they are. They can be in DuPont Circle, but they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and you have a gun. I convict someone of shooting another person
That
with
can't
an
be
illegal
true.
gun on a public bus in the chest, intent to kill. I convict him. And you know what the judge gives him? Probation. Says you should go to college. We need to go after the DC Council and their absurd laws. We need to get rid of this concept of, no cash bail. We need to recognize that the people who matter are the law-abiding citizens. And it starts today. But it's not going to end today, because the president is going to do everything we need to do to make sure that these emboldened criminals understand we see you, we're watching you, and we're going to change the law to catch you. And my final note is this. These kids understand that the jurisdiction is through the state attorney general, Brian Schwab. I did a poster of the young man from Doge who was beaten bloody with a severe concussion, a broken nose. And then I did a poster of what happens to those kids, because I can't arrest them, I can't prosecute them. They go to family court and they get to do yoga and arts and crafts. Enough. It changes today. Thank you, Mr. President. You're welcome.
Great job. Thank you. If I could, I just signed some executive orders. I'd like to have Will please come up and we'll let the people know what we signed. You want to put them down?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
A short while ago in the Oval Office, President Trump signed 2 crucial executive actions to deal with the emergency crime conditions we currently face in the District of Columbia. The first of these was an executive order.
Yeah,
as
someone's
President
saying,
Trump
"Please
said
let me
before,
arrest the children."
Invoking his powers under Section 40 of the Home Rule Act to take
The
federal
children with
control
guns,
of the
to be
DC
clear.
Metropolitan Police Department. Along with that executive order, President Trump signed the statutorily required notification letters to Mayor Bowser and to the relevant House and Senate committee leaders. The second major executive action that President Trump signed was a presidential memorandum directing the Secretary of Defense to utilize the National Guard to address the conditions we see on our streets here in DC. It also authorized the Secretary of Defense to work with state governors to utilize their National Guard units if necessary as well. These are bold, decisive steps intended to combat the out-of-control crime conditions we've seen on DC's streets for far too long. And I, for one, am deeply proud to be part of an administration that's finally coming to terms with these issues, sir.
Thank you very much.
We are watching a press briefing by the president.
So,
Whoever's asking.
just to conclude, Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, most beautiful places anywhere in the world.
I
It
agree with
was
that statement.
Years ago. We had one problem that was a pretty big problem.
Capital of the United States should be nice.
Radical left got out of
I think
control and they
that's
started
okay to say.
trying to rip down statues. And I said, let's go pass a law real fast. We're going to do it real fast. But we were blocked by the Democrats who do not want safety. Nobody gets it. I don't get it. They don't get it because they can't get votes. I don't know how they can win an election with this, but they don't want safety. And I found an old statute, very old, early 1900s, that said if you so much as touch or even think about destroying a statue or a monument in Washington, D.C., you go to jail for 10 years with no probation, no anything. In other words, slightly different than we have today. Today we have cashless bail. Today you get jailed 10 years. No curtailed sentence, 10 years. And we took it out. Nobody used it. It was never used because it
Don't
was
deface a
harsh.
statue.
And you remember they started to rip down
10 years.
a statue of Abraham Lincoln. I said, that's a tough one to rip down. He was pretty good, Pam. I think he was pretty good. When the ropes started going around Abraham Lincoln to pull him down, Andrew Jackson, others, and they were heading to the Jefferson Memorial, Thomas Jefferson. We're going to do a big number there. I said, it's time. And I signed that statute immediately. We had it updated. We made it use the same language, all passed by Congress. And I announced it's 10 years in jail, no probation, no anything, 10 years, no curtail sentence if you touch, so much as touch a statue in Washington, D.C. And it was an amazing sight, beautiful sight. Everybody just left. The ropes were hanging around Andrew Jackson. And there were 2 ropes around Abraham Lincoln. They left the rope. But everybody just left. And that was the last problem we ever had. You know, that was the last problem that we ever had with the statues. They were going wild. And we,
it's gonna get
somebody
that
came to
wrong.
me and said,
That's not a
sir,
good problem.
1910, I don't want to give you an exact, because you'll say, Donald Trump gave us wrong dates around like early on. You know, if I'm slightly off, they make you sound a little bad. So I won't put myself in that position. I won't put you in that position, because I think everybody agrees with what we're doing today. But when I signed that thing, it was like a miracle. Everybody left. They were gone. They were starting to march down. They started the march toward Thomas Jefferson. And I figured he was always going to be safe. But they found something with him, and they found something with Abraham Lincoln. And even in the name George Washington in California, numerous places changed the name of George Washington High School and various other places. They took George Washington's name. This was a sick, woke culture that I think we've largely ended.
Sick.
And a lot of those people
Those
who were woke
fucking
are now turning out to
sickos.
be,
Changing the names of
I won't
things.
go so far as to say MAGA.
Disgusting.
It's a very special category. But they've gotten out of that. But we have
These people are
we have people
sick.
that love this country, and they love this really beautiful capital. It is. I flew over it the other day, and I said, what a beautiful place. But if there's crime all over the streets, when you get there, it doesn't look so beautiful. But we're going to make it beautiful again. We're going to fix it with crime, and we're going to also, as we're doing that, we're going to start doing things that we know how to do, that I know how to do better than anybody, I guess, because of my experience from previous life. But not only are we stopping the crime, we're going to clean up the trash and the graffiti and the grime and the dirt and the broken marble panels.
I can't
And all
find
of the things
anything
they've done
about
to the city.
ropes around the Lincoln
And we're gonna
Memorial
restore the
or
city
people
back to
trying
the
to take it
gleaming
down. All I
capital
can find
that
is this.
everybody wants it to be. It's going to be something very special. All of these people are really tough. Could I shake your hand, Gaddy, please? You're going to be so important here. You're going to be that guy. I hope I don't have to fire him in 2 weeks because he's too soft.
During protests,
I don't think he's too soft.
the government
If I do, I
puts
will.
ropes
Is it
around
okay
those
if you're-
things
If you're
to
soft,
protect
weak,
them.
and pathetic, like
the only
so
thing
many
I can
people,
find.
I will fire
I can't find
you so
anything
fast.
about anybody trying
You're not going to
to
have to
pull them
worry
down.
about that. No, I think you're going to do a fantastic job. And everybody in this room, they may not express it, but they all want that to happen. You know, they want to be safe, and they have families too. So it's an honor to have such a large group. I've done this for years now, hard to believe. I've never seen this room so packed. In fact, I'm sure
He
it's a
has been
violation
president
of
for
every
years.
fire code. But we'll let you stay anyway. You're taking a chance. And with that, we'll say maybe if you could. Oh wow! We could be here all
What just
day
happened?
long. If we could keep the first questions perhaps to this subject, and then we'll go on to a few others. Please.
Mr. President, thank you so much. Can you talk about how personal of an issue this is? You talked about flying over the Washington Monument and seeing the pride of what D.C. is. And do you believe that the status of the city, the cleanliness, the way that crime is low, is a direct reflection on how the country is run?
Yeah, I do. I think the Capitol. Look, everyone comes here. They're all coming. All the leaders, they're all wanting to come. And I say it. I've said it again, but I'm really just quoting
Mr.
other
President.
leaders from NATO, from the Middle East, King of Saudi Arabia.
We're not
Qatar,
talking about all the leaders coming.
UAE. I was over there. We brought back $5.1 trillion of investment into our country. But I was, a month and a half ago, I was at NATO. We had a great thing. They agreed to
Keep
put
the
up 5%
questions on
instead of
subject,
2%.
yeah.
2% they didn't
No
pay,
Epstein
5%
questions,
already
please.
paid. We had a great meeting, and they all said the same thing. They said our country was dead. They thought our country was gone. 1 year ago, they said your country was dead.
Now it's
And
hot.
Now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the
Boy, I
hottest
should
country in the
I should
world.
make like a drinking game. We'll do like a
The
drinking game
tariffs
sometime,
have
maybe on
given us
Substack.
not only the money,
And it'll be like
billions,
every time he
trillions
mentions
of dollars of money,
Biden
but it
or
gives us
anytime he mentions
great power over
how dead of a country
enemies.
we
We
were,
saw
and
5
now
wars.
we are so hot.
Pakistan and
Gosh, we'll be drunk in no
India
time.
we just solved one. Azerbaijan, and as you know, in Armenia.
That's a big one.
The war was raging for 37 years, and the two leaders got up and they said, "We never thought this would be solved." Russia tried to solve it. They all tried to solve it. It was a very tough situation, but we got it done and got it done. And I said to the two men, I said, "Are you guys friends?" And they had a hard time. You know, they've been killing each other for 37 years, right?
Hilarious.
One was there 5 years, one was there for 22 years. He said, "My whole life."
Killing
I've been
each other
fighting this
for
war,
37 years.
And you got it solved. But we did many of those.
He did stop it, though. To be clear,
in
he
the
totally
Congo
brokered a peace deal.
and
You
Rwanda.
really can't.
That's been going on for
Take
30
that away from
years.
him.
8 to 9 million people
At
killed
this
that they
point, he's
know of.
really on
It
track
was
to get a
raging
Nobel
when we
Peace
got
Prize.
that
And then what are
solved.
you
Get a
going to
lot
say?
of them done. It's a great honor. But you want to have, when they come, the leaders come to our country to sign documents that the war is over or whatever, or for other reasons. They come for trade. And you want them to come through so beautifully. You ride down those roads, everything should be perfect. You shouldn't have medians falling down into the roadway. Median, you know, the metal things that are always, somebody had a great lobbyist, because I've never seen them look good. I've been looking at those things with the little, right? They're always broken and bad, but here they're really bad. And we're going to either put new or fix it, and it's not expensive. It's not really expensive. Or we're going to fix our roads a little bit. We're going to clean up our sidewalks. You have countries where
Yeah, you know,
every
the things our
Saturday,
taxes are
the
supposed to
people
go to.
out and they wash their sidewalks in front of their stores or their houses. They scrub their sidewalks. So we aren't quite at that level yet. I don't think, Gaddy, we're not quite there yet. Maybe we will. They go out and they scrub. I think it's so beautiful to hear that and to see those stories. But we're going to make it clean. But just to finish with your question,
Back to the question.
it's a very, very strong reflection of our country. And when they see a bad city, you know, my father always used to tell me, I had a wonderful father, very smart, and he used to say, "Son, when you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty front door, don't go in, because if the front door is dirty, the kitchen's dirty also." Same thing with the Capitol. If our Capitol's dirty, our whole country is dirty, and they don't respect us. So
Oh,
it's
I
a
didn't
very
like
good
the way he
question.
said that. It's not that it was wrong. It just sounded.
Do you expect more cities to follow DC's path?
sounded
if this
evil.
goes through? So the idea is that
It's
Chicago,
not.
LA,
The
San
content
Francisco,
wasn't
would
evil,
they
just
expect
the way
similar
he
action
said
that
it.
we've seen in DC? Any other questions, sir? There's reporting that the administration is going to reclassify marijuana. Would that send mixed messages that if marijuana is okay, drugs are? some
Oh,
drugs
yeah.
are okay,
I'll be reporting
we're
on
trying to
that.
Clean up crime. How do they go hand in
How does
hand?
the
We're
chat
really
feel about
looking at that.
marijuana
That's
being
really-
decriminalized?
You know, somebody reported it, which is fine. We're looking at it. Some people
Federally.
like it, some people hate it. Some people hate the whole concept of marijuana, because if it does bad for the children, it does bad for people that are older than children. But we're looking at
What do you guys think?
declassification, and we'll make a determination over the next few weeks. And that determination hopefully will be the right one. It's a very complicated subject, the subject of marijuana.
It
I've
is
heard great
complicated.
things having to do with medical.
Right.
And I've had bad things having to do with just about everything else, but medical and, for
Not
pain
everything
and
else.
various things. I've heard some pretty good things.
Marijuana,
but
not just great for
other
medical,
things,
but
I've
also
heard some
great
pretty
for,
bad
like,
things.
business,
the
agriculture.
Other part of your
farmers.
question, I mean, we're just going to see what happens with it all. You're going to have, we're going to have a tremendous success in what we're doing. Other cities are hopefully watching this. They're all watching, just like everyone's watching here. They're all watching.
It's like saying alcohol is
and
bad
maybe
for children.
they'll
Yeah.
clean up, and maybe they'll
It should
do
still be
this and
allowed.
get rid of the cashless bail thing and all of the things that caused the problem. I mean, if you go back, this whole thing with cashless bail is a disaster. So many problems came that we never had before. So they're watching us today, and if they don't learn their lesson, if they haven't studied us properly, because we're going to be very successful. I have zero doubt about that. It's going to be. It's a question of will it be really fast, like the border. You know, everyone said, they used to say, Biden used to say, I need legislation. I didn't get any legislation. I called up our people, and we did a great job. Tom Homan was great. As you
well,
know,
to be
our
clear, you're
secretary did a
supposed
great
to do
job.
it
They
through
did a great
legislation,
job. There's
Mr.
no
President.
games. They didn't play games. And We're going to have the same thing here. But then I'm going to look at New York in a little while. Let's do this. Let's do this together. Let's see. It's going to go pretty quickly. And if we need to, we're going to do the same thing in Chicago, which is a disaster. We have a mayor there who's totally incompetent. He's an incompetent man. And we have an incompetent governor there. Pritzker's an incompetent. His family threw him out of the business.
Just
And he ran for
roasting
governor.
the governors of the
Now
United
I understand
States.
he wants to be president. But I noticed he lost
Good job,
a little weight,
President.
so maybe he has a
Our
chance.
President
You
Trump.
You never know what happens. But Pritzker's a gross incompetent guy, thrown out of the family business.
Oof.
But when I
Putting
look
all
at
his personal stuff out there.
Chicago and I look at L.A., if we didn't go to L.A.
Incompetence,
3 months
another
ago,
good one.
LA
For,
would
I should be
burning
writing
like
these down.
The part that didn't burn. If he
Incompetent
would have
for
allowed
the
the
drinking
water
game.
to come down, which I told him about in my first term, I said, you're going to have problems. Let it come down. We actually sent in our military to have the water come down into L.A. They still didn't want it to come down after the fires. But that was it. We have it coming down. But hopefully L.A. is watching. That mayor also. The city's burning. They lost like 25,000 homes. I went there the day after the fire. You were there. And I saw people standing in front of a burned down home. It was, their homes were incinerated. They weren't like, even the steel was literally, it was all warped and literally disintegrated because of the winds and the flame and the whole thing.
I
like a
understand,
blowtorch.
Bunny. Thanks for joining
They
for
were
as long as you
standing on
could.
this beautiful day, maybe a couple of days after. We gave it a little time because what they had suffered, almost 25,000 homes. And you see what's happening now. They didn't give their permits. I went to a town hall meeting. I said, we're going to get you the federal permits, which are much harder. Almost immediately. Lee Zeldin is a star. He did an incredible job. They have all their federal permits. They don't have their city permits. And the mayor said to me, we think we can have them in 2 years. I was walking down the street and I met with firemen and police. And I was saying hello to many people that were standing in front of their homes with yellow tape. You can't go in. You can't go onto the lot. And those people wanted to start rebuilding their homes then and there. And the mayor said, we should be able to get them the permits within 2 years. I said, that's a shame, 2 years. Are you kidding? I'm going to get them the federal permit like almost immediately, 2 years. And she thought she ruled that, well, maybe 1 year. The place was booing her out of the place. They don't have their permits to build their homes. And now they're talking about putting, this is among the most beautiful areas was in the country. Now they're talking about putting low-income housing there. Can you believe this? I love low-income housing. I made money with low-income housing. I built low-income housing. I know more about low-income housing and luxury housing. I know about everything real estate. They want to replace some of those homes with low-income housing. They haven't gotten their permits yet. We've gotten all the federal permits, which are much tougher to get. And it was done almost immediately through Lee Zeldin and Federal Environmental. And I watched
That's
the other
good.
day, those people are angry. And now, you know, they had tremendous, they loved that area.
Right.
They loved the whole big area, different places, but they loved it. It was all luxury stuff and beautiful stuff. And some wasn't that luxury, but the level of love for that neighborhood, their neighborhoods was incredible. And you know what? I watch people on television, they want to go, they want to leave. They've lost their spirit, they've lost their heart because the mayor's incompetent. And Gavin Newsom is incompetent. Got a good line of bullshit, but that's about it. He's incompetent.
I'm fine with him
And you have Los Angeles is
not liking
you know,
her
it's amazing.
or
You know, first
disagreeing
thing
with
I got the Olympics
other
to go
states.
there. I was the one that got
with
it.
states
And
lawmakers
by a
and-
rare
and
thing
government.
that happened, I'll be the president. I was
It's the
very
name
upset 'cause I
calling.
got
It's the
Olympics, so they
nickname
said I won't be
that
president
I
when it
feel
comes,
is
but
really just a
bad
bully
things
tactic
happened,
and nothing else.
Illegal
It's
things
so
happened. Really
unnecessary.
illegal things happened. Now it turns out one good thing was I'm going to be the president for the Olympics for 2050, for 250, which is going to be fantastic, and also for the World Cup. So we have a lot of good things, and I hope 250 is going to be, 250th anniversary is going to be the best. But when I looked at those people, and I saw last night on television that they still don't have their permits, it's a disgrace what's happened in Los Angeles.
Wow, it sounds like there really are a lot of people in that room.
Tonight, but do you plan to extend that?
We'll see what happens. China's been, we've been dealing very nicely with China, as you probably have heard. They have tremendous tariffs that they're paying to the United States of America. And we'll see what happens. They've been dealing quite nicely. The relationship is very good with President Xi and myself.
President, you mentioned your upcoming meeting with President Putin. Can
Yeah.
you tell us what you hope to get out of that and whether you'll consider inviting President Zelensky to join?
So you have to understand, this is a war that should have never happened. This is a war that wouldn't have happened if I were president. It would have never happened. It was the apple of his eye. I got along very well with President Putin. But if you look, under President Bush, they took a lot of territory. Under President Obama, they took a lot of territory. Under Biden, they essentially took the whole thing. You know, it's just a question of time. Under Trump, you know what they took? Nothing. I was the one that said, you can't build your pipeline. That was half built. I came in, I stopped the pipeline. It's called Nord Stream 2. Nobody knows that, you know. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2. You might have not even heard it. Biggest pipeline in the world. I stopped it. I was not a friend of Russia, but I got along well with Putin. It's always good to get along with other countries if possible, but that doesn't mean you roll over like Biden did. Biden came in and he immediately approved the pipeline. I couldn't believe it. Then they say Trump wasn't tough on Russia. I wasn't tough. I was the toughest. Putin said, if you're not tough, I would hate like hell to see you. I stopped the biggest economic development job, the biggest job that Russia had ever built. I stopped it. It was dead. And this low IQ president came in and he let them build the pipeline and supply oil and gas all over Europe, you know? So this is really a feel-out meeting, a little bit. And President Putin invited me to get involved. He wants to get involved. I believe he wants to get it over with. Now, I've said that a few times, and I've been disappointed because I'd have like a great call with him, and then missiles would be lobbed into Kiev or some other place, and you'd have 60 people laying on a road dying. I said, that's cold, but it's a violent war. 5,000 to 7,000 people a week are dying. And you know, there's nobody from here. They're all Russian and Ukrainian people, and some people from the cities.
Okay,
much
so
smaller
just to
numbers.
clarify the timeline of
missiles do
events,
damage
Trump
and they
did
kill a lot of
impose
people,
sanctions in 2019 to stop the pipeline.
And
But Biden didn't allow the
soldiers,
pipeline to
although
happen.
In the case of Ukraine, they're getting much older.
They
They're
continued
drafting
construction
60-year-olds
despite
now.
pressures from the U.S.
It's a terrible thing to witness, and I think.
And then they
I have an
completed the
obligation. Look,
construction,
this is
and
Joe
then
Biden's
Germany
war, not my
halted the
war.
certification
I made a deal with NATO
when Russia made it
a month
clear
ago.
that they
You
were
covered
going
it
to
very
invade
accurately,
Ukraine.
Actually, we don't pay anything anymore. You know, we're not paying anything.
And the
They
blasts,
are buying things from us.
nobody
and
knows who
NATO
did them,
is
but
paying us. I
people
got
think
it
it's
raised from
Ukraine.
2% of GDP to 5%, and they're paying us for everything that we send. We're not paying, but Biden approved $350 billion. Europe has spent $100 billion. The money that's been spent and the death is incredible. It's the worst thing that's happened, by far the worst that's happened since World War II. So I'm going in to speak to Vladimir Putin, and I'm going to be telling him, you got to end this war. You got to end it.
Is that not
And
what
he
he
wasn't
has
gonna mess
already
with
been
me.
telling him for
this war
the
would have
past
never
6
happened.
months that he's been in office?
You know, we had a discussion about it one time, and we never had that discussion again. Would have never happened. And when the election was rigged, and then Biden took office, which was barely took office, the auto pen took office, bad things started happening. Bad things, stupid things were said, and it ended up in a war. And you know, and I don't believe this will happen anymore because I have that pretty well covered. This could end up in a third world war. This could have been a third world war. I don't think that's going to happen now. But
Okay.
I thought
Let's-
it was very respectful.
Let's just not
that
even
the
entertain that
president
idea.
of Russia is coming to our country as opposed to us going to his country or even a third party place. But I think we'll have constructive conversations. Then after that meeting, immediately,
He has said
maybe as
previously
I'm
that
flying out,
he's not so sure
maybe
that
as I'm leaving
the
the
talks
room,
are
I'll be
constructive.
calling the European leaders who I get along with very well. And, you know, I have a great relationship, I think, with all of them. And I get along with Zelensky, but, you know, I disagree with what he's done. Very, very severely disagree. This is a war that should have never happened, wouldn't have happened. But I'll be speaking to Zelensky. The next meeting will be with Zelensky and Putin, or Zelensky and Putin and me. I'll be there if they need, but I want to have a meeting set up between the two leaders. I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, well, I have to get constitutional approval. I mean, he's got approval to go into war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap.
Zelensky didn't go into war and kill everybody. Ukraine was invaded.
Conversations
what are you
with
talking
everybody.
about?
To the good, for the good of Ukraine. Good stuff, not bad stuff.
That's hardly
Also, some bad
Zelensky's
stuff.
decision. I mean,
It's
unless
good
you want
and
to talk
it's
about
bad.
defending,
But it's very complex.
you know,
'cause
there's been a
have
lot of
lines that
talk
are
about
very uneven.
countries' right to
And
defend
there'll be some
themselves.
swapping. There'll be some.
I'd say
changes
Ukraine has done
in
a
land.
better
And
job
the
of
word
just
that they would
defending
use is
itself
that,
and
you know,
not
they make
attacking as
changes.
much
We're going to change the
as
lines,
some
the
other
battle
countries
lines.
who shall not be named.
Russia's occupied a big portion of Ukraine. They've occupied some very prime territory. We're going to try and get some of that territory back for Ukraine. But they've taken some very prime territory. They've taken largely ocean, you know, in real estate we call it oceanfront property. That's always the most valuable property. If you're in a lake, a river, or an ocean, it's always the best property. Well, Ukraine, a lot of people don't know that Ukraine was largely 1,000 miles of ocean. That's gone. Other than one small area, Odessa, it's a small area. There's just a little bit of water left. So I'm going to go and see the parameters. Now, I may leave and say, good luck, and that'll be the end. I may say this is not going to be settled. I mean, there are those that believe that Putin wanted all of Ukraine. I happen to be one of them, by the way. I think if it weren't for me, he would not be even talking to anybody else right now. But I'm going to meet with him. We're going to see what the parameters are. I'm then going to call up President Zelensky and the European leaders right after the meeting, yeah. And I'm going to tell them what kind of a deal. I'm not going to make a deal. It's not up to me to make a deal. I think a deal should be made for both. I think Russia has to get back into building their country. It's a massive country. I think they have 11 time zones, if you can believe it. It's a massive, it's by far, from the standpoint of land, it's by far the largest. They have tremendous potential in Russia to do well. They're not doing well. Their economy is not doing well right now because it's been very well disturbed by this. It doesn't help when the President of the United States tells their largest or second largest oil buyer that we're putting a 50% tariff on you if you buy oil from Russia. That was a big blow. And then they say, gee, he wasn't so tough. Nobody else would have done that. And I haven't stopped there. I mean, look, I was all set to do things far bigger than that, but I got a call that they'd like to meet, and I'm going to see what they want to meet about. I'd like to see a ceasefire. I'd like to see the best deal that could be made for both parties. You know, it takes two to tango, right? So ultimately, I'll have a meeting next week. I had a great relationship with him, considering the fact that, you know, I was.
I don't know if
nice
it takes
to
two
him
to tango
because
is
of the,
appropriate here either.
pipeline.
It takes.
I ended the pipeline.
It takes
I also gave the javelin.
one to attack and one to defend.
Javelin is called the tank buster.
That's not two people tangoing.
Obama gave them sheets and I gave them javelins. If it weren't for me, all those tanks that were destroyed at the first days of the war because the tanks got stuck in the mud, some commander made a better. You know, they would have been in Kiev in 4 hours, going down the highway. But a Russian general made a brilliant decision to go through the farmland instead. And they just had torrential rains, and the rains were so bad, and it was mud, and those tanks got stuck in the mud. I don't know who that general is, but knowing Vladimir, he's probably not around any longer because all those tanks were stuck in the mud, and they went along with the javelins. I gave them the javelins. You know that, right? I gave them javelins. They gave them sheets. But I'm going to meet with
The U.S. gave Ukraine more than sheets before Trump took office.
And
Just
if it's a fair deal, I'll reveal it to the European Union
truth here.
leaders and to the NATO leaders and also to President Zelensky. I think out of respect, I'll call him first. And then I'll call them after. And I may say, lots of luck, keep fighting.
Someone is saying that
say we can make a deal. I will tell you this, I've seen
somebody is saying that they think I'm warming up to Trump because I am acknowledging a lot of better things that he's done than I have in the past.
And if
that's
you
just
go
not
back
true.
3 years, everybody was gung-ho
I feel the same about him now as I always have, which is
until you have it.
I don't care.
It's an amazing thing.
I don't care if you like him or not.
Where
I don't care about
get a
him
deal
enough
done with one particular
to decide
country.
whether I like him or not.
And I just couldn't.
Every policy I talk about in a vacuum.
good leader.
A lot of the things in the past that you might be referring to are things that we hadn't seen the effects of yet.
You know where I'm
I
talking
can't
about.
say
First term,
it's a good
And
thing
it
he's
was
ending a war
nasty
that he
guys
hasn't
being
ended
killed all over
yet.
the
When
place.
he ends it,
and
I have no problem saying
went
that's a
through
good
1
thing.
week of
You know,
warfare
if he
to
does something
get the deal
objectively
done.
good,
This
that's
is
good. A
nasty.
lot of
Yes,
the,
please.
Just to follow up on
you know, a lot of the disagreement is over how he does these
Volodymyr
things.
Zelensky
You know,
is
we
not
can all
invited.
agree that DC shouldn't have a lot of crime, right? But
I would say he
the
could
disagreement
go, but
is
he's gone to a
over
lot of
calling
meetings.
in the
He's been
National
there for
Guard
3.5
to make
years,
that
nothing
happen.
happened.
Now, what is the definition?
I mean, you want somebody that's been doing this for 3.5 years? What's the definition of a good deal? I'll tell you after I hear what the deal is, because there could be many
Thanks, Eric.
definitions.
I
You know,
pride
we're talking
myself
about
on
a-
being a neutral
very
voice.
large
I
and
think that it's
complex,
missing. I think that it's really
situation.
hard
I
to
tell
find
you, the
actually
war that
neutral
I just
people,
settled
and that's
with
the slot I hope to fill.
Azerbaijan and with, as you know, and Armenia was almost as complex as this one, having to do with routes,
Successful
trade.
meeting on Friday with Vladimir.
Well, we're going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and at the end of that meeting, probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be
How will you
made.
know that?
Because that's what I do. I make deals.
Mr. President.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask you two questions, one about China, one about Russia, if I could. On China, your administration agreed to send the most advanced or advanced NVIDIA and AMD chips.
No,
to-
obsolete. No.
Obsolete chip. Well, and then 15% of the
You
profits
mean the
come back.
20s? No. This is an old chip that China already has. And I deal with Jensen, who's a great guy, and NVIDIA. The chip that we're talking about, the H20, it's an old chip. China already has it in a different form, different name, but they have it. Or they have a combination of two will make up for it and even then some. Now Jensen's a very brilliant guy, and Jensen also has a new chip, the Blackwell. Do you know what the Blackwell is? The Blackwell is super duper advanced. I wouldn't make a deal
That's
with
the
that,
technical term.
although,
Super
it's
duper
possible I'd
advanced
make a
chips.
deal,
That's the next wave of
a
technology coming.
somewhat
The super duper advanced.
enhanced in a negative way Blackwell. In other words, take 30% to 50% off of it. But that's the latest and the greatest in the world. Nobody has it. They won't have it for 5 years. But the H20 is obsolete. You know, it's one of those things, but it still has a market. So I said, listen, I want 20% if I'm going to approve this for you, for the country, for our country, for the U.S. I don't want it myself. You know, every time I say like 747, I want, yeah, for the Air Force. So I just wanted, so when I say I want 20, I want for the country. I only care about the country. I don't care about myself. And he said, would you make it 15? So we negotiated a little deal.
This
So
is where the
he's
real disagreement comes
selling
down. Donald
a
Trump
essentially
only
old
cares about
chip
the country
that
as a whole,
Huawei
and not
has
himself
a similar chip,
at all.
a chip that does the same
I
thing.
think that can really
And I
boil
said,
down
good,
to
if
where
I'm
the
gonna give it to you,
disagreement
'cause
between
they
the
have
left and the right begins.
You know, they have a stopper, what we call a stopper, not allowed to do it. A restricted is really known as a restrictive covenant. And I said, if I'm going to do that, I want you to pay us as a country something, because I'm giving you a release. I released them only from the H20. Now, on the Blackwell, I think he's coming to see me again about that. But that will be a unenhanced version of the big one. Like, I don't know if you know it, we will sometimes sell fighter jets to a country and we'll give them 20% less than we have. Do you know what I mean, right? That's the same.
So on Russia, do you see a time, Mr. President, when there could be normal trade between the U.S. and Russia? Should your meeting go well? Should there be peace?
I do, yeah. Russia has a very valuable piece of land. If
Oceanfront
Vladimir
property.
Putin would go toward business instead of toward war, you know, it's a warring nation. That's what they do. They fight a lot of wars. A friend of mine said Russia's tough because they just keep on fighting. They beat Hitler, so did we. And they beat Napoleon. You know, they've been doing this for a long time. I asked a question to a very, very smart man that some people like and some people don't like. Viktor Orban, right? From Hungary, the head of Hungary. And he's in that same area and knows the two countries very well. I said, this was before Biden didn't do anything to get us out of it. He could have gotten us out of that. It would have never happened. I said, so can Russia be beaten by Ukraine? He looked at me like, what a stupid question. He said, Russia's a massive country, and they win their country, and they win their life through wars. They fight wars. That's what they do.
It's true, though.
He
You'd
said,
think that
China
they'd be able to,
beat
if
with
size
trade.
were the
Russia
main
beat you
factor,
with
you'd think
war.
that the war would have ended rather
Very
quickly.
interesting statement. China's
And
not
yet-
beating us with trade. Not when I'm in charge. But they were beating Biden with trade, but they never beat us with trade. Don't forget, China had to pay $400 billion worth of tariffs when I was last time. That was last time. And if we didn't have COVID, all of this stuff we would be loaded. We're finding hundreds of billions of dollars of cash is pouring into our country now because of tariffs. And all we're doing is we're doing what they do to us. It's so beautiful to see it. They found last month, as you saw, $25 billion of excess cash flow. They're saying, where did it come from? I said, I'll tell you where it came from. It came from a place called tariffs. And we're doing very well. We're really doing well. But
I've been thinking about vacationing in
I expect to have
tariffs.
a meeting with Putin that I think
It's a
it'll be
lovely
good,
place,
but it might be
tariffs.
bad. And I'm here for one reason.
Oh,
to
the
get rid of
accordion
the
hands
war
are
that
out, so you
somebody
know
else
he's
started.
serious.
Should have never happened.
Accordion
If I
hands is a
could
good
end it,
drinking
great.
game rule.
Complex war, a lot of bad blood, but Zelensky's been there for 3.5 years. So if you put him in a room, now I will say this: ultimately, I'm going to put the two of them in a room. I'll be there or won't be there, and I think it'll get solved.
I'm just gonna put the two of them in a room and see what happens.
Excuse me, I'm going to suggest because do you have any other questions?
Do you have
on
any other
DC?
questions?
Because I don't want them to be. Wait. These are.
Guys, shut the fuck
these
up
are
and let the
incredible
president
people.
speak.
I don't want them to be standing up here on subjects. Does anybody have a question of them? And then you guys.
Oh my god, guys.
Okay, a question. Brian, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right.
And by the way, this is only on DC, and then they're going to leave because it's unfair to have them stand up here all day long.
I agree.
Brian.
I've got two questions for you. First, about DC. This is personal for me as well. Last year, I was robbed on the streets by one of these teenage thugs. Had a gun, got away with it. Let's talk about the effort that between law enforcement, prosecutors, and judges, because it's a recycling belt. Like, these kids go, they don't fear the police. They know it. If you talk about how we've got to get these judges and put these kids behind bars,
Right.
adult crimes deserve adult penalties. And my second question,
We have to arrest the children.
Want me to answer?
Whoever wants to take it.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
It's real-
Criminals
You want me to answer it?
need to be punished, obviously.
Here's the problem. Assuming that they're 17 years, older than 17 years old, I can get the case. If they're under 18 years of age, I can only get the case if it's murder, rob one, rape, or even if they shoot a gun but don't kill you, I can't get it. So the law has to be changed.
It goes to
As
juvenile.
The president said counselors.
To be clear, she only handles adult
All right,
crime.
then
That's
even
why.
assuming I get the case, I get jurisdiction, I get a conviction, the DC Council has given the judges the ability to give probation on shootings. And so then it's up to them. All of these things, the Youth Rehabilitation Incarceration Reduction Act, and now they want to seal records. So if we work hard, we get a conviction, they want to wipe it out. So that needs all to be changed.
Okay, Mr. Question.
Pam, would you answer that also?
Yeah, and just back to that topic. Let's be clear though. We're going to charge them and we're going to track every single thing they do throughout every step of the court process and report back to you
I'm
and let
so
all of you
confused.
know what's happening to them, because the people who are prosecuting them, the judges who are trying them, they also need to be held accountable.
Mr. President, you also made the comment.
Tell me in the chat.
People we've ever seen.
Tell me in the chat what you think about juvenile court. Do you think juveniles should, say, have their whole life ruined for committing a crime? And if the answer is yes, that's fine. That's you're welcome to whatever opinion you want. Or do you think the juvenile court should be a little bit more lenient in ways of offering rehabilitation and, you know, parole and things of that nature?
This is definitely the most packed briefing, and I think all of you would agree. I think it's why we need to build a ballroom.
Mr. President, I have a better idea.
People want the ballroom, I guess. Oh, the podium's empty. I was going to put myself at the podium.
You're building the big, beautiful ballroom.
Yeah.
Could we build a big, beautiful briefing room, updated technology,
Yeah.
more seats?
I don't want to do that. I don't want you to be comfortable. So
That would
I don't
actually
wanna
make more
I don't
sense,
wanna
in my
make life
opinion, than a
comfortable.
ballroom. A new briefing room sounds like something that would actually be useful.
Let's do this. It's going to be a big thing. We're going to Russia. That's going to be a big deal. What happens, happens. I'll let you know what happens. You'll be the first to know. I'll be calling the European leaders. I'm going with totally, I mean, we have a lot of talks. They're great people. They're great leaders, actually. And they want to get back. Honestly, as one of them said, I've OD'd on trying to settle Ukraine. They've OD'd, meaning they've overdosed on the settlement of Ukraine. Not a nice expression, but boy, is it accurate. They're tired of it. They want to get back to spending money on their countries. You know, Biden gave them $350 billion. Europe gave $100 billion. It should be much more than that. Shouldn't have been that kind of, they should have had equalization, but they didn't. But you know what? Still a lot of money. They want to get back to building their own countries. They really want it resolved. My relationship with the European leaders, as you saw, is extremely good. Like it's perfect. It's beautiful. Wait.
Perfect.
And we're gonna try. I'll be in touch with them. I have 5 of them call me. You think it's easy? There are a lot of European leaders, but they rely on me. Very much rely on me. If it wasn't for me, this thing would never get solved until the last person breathing is dead. I'm talking to him right now. So I'm talking to the European leaders. I'll be talking to President Zelensky. I'm going to get everybody's ideas. I go into that thing fully loaded right up there, and we're going to see what happens. Now, I think one of 2 things is going to happen. It's going to be a good meeting, and we'll go a step further. We'll get it done. I'd like to see a ceasefire very, very quickly. Very quick. I'd like to see it immediately, but I'd like to see it very quickly. And we're going to be dealing with the European leaders, and we're going to be dealing with President Zelensky, and hopefully we're going to have a great success. As far as this, what we did today, and I think you were here for DC more so than even Russia, because Russia will be, you know, we have a couple of days to go, but the Russia is going to be very interesting. But to me, what is very exciting, and we're going to take back our capital. We're going to make it beautiful again, but we're going to make it, more importantly, safe again. It's going to be so safe. It's going to be a model. And then we'll look at other cities also. But other cities are studying what we're doing. And you have some capable people in other cities. They can do it too. But we have a great group of professionals. We're going to have a safe, beautiful capital, and it's going to happen very quickly. Thank you all. Thank you all very much.
Somebody in one of my chats just said, would you have rather had Kamala? What does Kamala have to do with any of this? She doesn't. How good or bad of a job Kamala would have done? Total speculation. We have no idea what kind of job she would have done because she didn't win. So I don't waste my time pondering such things. Would I rather have Kamala? Don't know what she would have been like. Great. Well, that was a lot longer than I expected it to be. Thank you all for joining me. Thanks for giving a shit. Make sure that you're subscribed on YouTube, and you have to hit the little bell notification so you get notified when I go live. Make sure that you are subscribed on TikTok and Instagram. Subscribe on multiple places because honestly, any of them could disappear at any time. My TikTok's been demonetized. Who knows how long that will take to get fixed. But, subscribe to the Substack if you want to, if you really want to support the channel. Substack is the best way to go. The Fork in News with the number 4.substack.com. All the links are in my bio. Anyways, thank you all, everybody, and have a wonderful day.